What's up everyone and welcome back to the MMA Fast. Today, let's get started with Stipe Miocic shares disappointment over Francis Ngannou's UFC exit. Stipe Miocic, the two-time UFC heavyweight champion, has shared his thoughts on ex-champion and former foe Francis Ngannou's venture into boxing and PFL move. In a recent interview, Miocic was asked about Ngannou's UFC exit. He revealed that he was disappointed he couldn't take on the Predator in a trilogy bout, with their rivalry at 1-1. However, the 42-year-old also admitted that he's happy for Ngannou, who has a lucrative contract with the PFL and has made millions from his two high-profile boxing bouts against Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua. Of course, because I wanted the same. I understand he's doing better for himself and his family. Yeah, I'm not mad at him. He's doing great. When asked if he watched Ngannou's fights against Fury and Joshua, both of which he lost, Miocic answered, "No, I only saw clips of it. He did well with Fury, and unfortunately, it didn't go as well in the second one with Joshua. But that's fighting. It happens. No one's going to fault him for taking a lot of money in those situations. But obviously, stepping into the deep waters of the heavyweight division on day one takes a lot, right?" DC is against Poirier's last dance coming against Holloway. A new chapter in the illustrious career of Holloway appears set to get underway in 2025. After falling short of regaining the featherweight title last month in Abu Dhabi, the fan favorite will soon bid farewell to 145 pounds. Holloway hinted at a permanent move up to lightweight in the immediate aftermath of his first knockout loss at the hands of Ilia Topuria, and he subsequently confirmed that decision this past weekend. Courtesy of his BMF title-winning knockout of Justin Gaethje this past April, Holloway already finds himself inside the top 5 at 155 pounds. With that in mind, a potential title eliminator against a high-ranked name could be awaiting him. He's asking for Dustin. That would be absolutely fantastic. But is there a better way to introduce Max Holloway into the lightweight division? Do we put him in there with a Dustin for a third time? Or do we see what happens with Michael Chandler after he fights Charles Oliveira? Or do we start to kind of look down the rankings a little bit, Chael, and say, well, it would be fun to watch him fight a Benoit Saint-Denis. It would be fun to watch him fight a Paddy Pimblett. Shavkat Rakhmonov is not worried about a future showdown with Ian Garry. When welterweight champion Belal Muhammad withdrew from his title defense against Rakhmonov, Machado Garry campaigned to fight Rakhmonov on the same card. However, shortly after, the promotion announced that Machado Garry will face Joaquin Buckley in the UFC on ESPN's 63 headliner on December 14th. To be honest, I don't care. I'm ready if it's going to be him after he wins his next fight. If it is, it could be good for both of us. We can do it. If he wants to try and take my zero, he can try, but I know the same thing is going to happen that's happened in the training. I'm going to just keep it the same way, and I'm pretty confident that I'm going to beat him. It's just training. I don't want to praise myself too much. It's just training, but I feel comfortable with how the training went. Whether it was striking or the ground, I felt comfortable and in control. So I'm pretty confident in this matchup. Roy Jones shares surprising prediction for Mike Tyson versus Jake Paul boxing match. Tyson and Paul are set to box live on Netflix at AT&T Stadium in a professional bout. If Mike Tyson does beat Jake Paul, it would technically chalk up as an upset, but Roy Jones has full confidence that his former foe will get the win. I believe in Mike, likely via decision. But if he wants to finish it, he can. Yet, if he's just looking to enjoy the fight, he might take it slow and have some fun. I'm not worried about Mike and his age. Mike is still hard to hit, and he hits like a truck. Tyson winning by decision is a bit of a surprise, but Jones thinks the 2-minute rounds benefit the former heavyweight champ. Roy Jones fought Tyson in 2-minute rounds in 2020, and he says he was surprised by Tyson's cardio. When I boxed him 4 years ago, we did 2-minute rounds, and surprisingly, he didn't lose energy. He kept the same pace. Cody Garbrandt's next opponent believes he can force him out of his game plan. UFC bantamweight Miles Johns is preparing to face the biggest name of his UFC run to date when he returns to the Apex this weekend. Johns has been on a good run recently with 3 unanimous decision wins and a no contest against Dan Argueta in between. For his fight against Garbrandt, he intends on making use of the smaller octagon inside the UFC facility. He wants to put pressure on Cody and is expecting the former champion to try and counter-strike off the back foot, using his speed and footwork to circle around the outside of the cage. However, Johns believes that he can disrupt this by playing on his opponent's tendencies. I'm expecting for him to fight back, but I think that if I get him up against the wall and I start putting some heat on him, he's not going to like that, and I want to make it an exciting fight. I want a fight that the fans have fun watching and that they enjoy, so we'll see what happens. Hopefully, I also know he's a little bit emotional, so if he's waiting a little bit and I tell him like, come on man, what we waiting on? Let's get this thing popping. I think that he will oblige, but we'll see. Former UFC champ argues Leon Edwards should fight Shavkat Rakhmonov. UFC 310 no longer boasts 2 title fights as Belal Muhammad has pulled out of the main event because of a toe injury. While some fans want the newly crowned champion to be stripped for inactivity already, others are more concerned with finding a new opponent for Shavkat. While discussing how UFC 310 should be dealt with, Michael Bisping pointed out that replacing Muhammad could help Edwards get his rematch quickly. Rocky gave the new champ his props after losing the welterweight belt at UFC 304, but also admitted to feeling fatigued due to the unusual timing. For Leon Edwards, this does everything. You beat Shavkat, you are the man. You step up, you are the man. You beat this man that's finishing everybody. What does that do for you? Well, then you're right back in the title conversation. In fact, you will be probably getting a rematch against Belal Muhammad. He wants to get his hands on Belal Muhammad once again. He wants to right the wrongs. He wants to prove to the world and himself that he's the better man. But more importantly, to get back to becoming the welterweight champion of the world. The former UFC champ understands that losing to Shavkat is a huge risk for the English fighter, as it would further extend his path back to the title. However, he thinks that the rewards outweigh the risks in this situation. Michael Chandler claps back at Arman Tsarukyan. Chandler rematches Oliveira in the November 16th co-main event at Madison Square Garden. Arman has continuously poked at Chandler's fight IQ and recently told MMA Junkie that he's an easy fight for Charles Oliveira. Michael was respectful toward Arman for the most part in his response, but made sure to sneak in his own jab right at the end. He's just he's got some great wins. His last win was over Oliveira, my next opponent, so he's earned this title shot. This is going to be a rematch with him and Islam. He's doing his thing, but yeah, he doesn't like me. Says bad things about me. After he beat Oliveira, I actually went back and congratulated him. It's one of those things where I don't hold any animosity towards anybody. I enjoy competing against people whether they like me or don't like me. I'm going to always operate like I don't necessarily like my opponent, but I don't have anything against him. Like I said, a happy fighter is a dangerous fighter, and that's my own personal anecdote of my career thus far. But Arman's doing his thing. I wish him well, but at least he's got great hair. Tom Aspinall explains how Stipe Miocic can beat Jon Jones at UFC 309. Tom Aspinall recently shared his insights on how Stipe Miocic could secure victory over Jon Jones in their highly anticipated title showdown. The clash between Jones and Miocic has ignited significant debate within the MMA community, with many asserting that interim heavyweight champion Aspinall, who also serves as the backup fighter, deserves the opportunity to compete in a title unification bout. Aspinall might not see his dream of facing the winner of the UFC 309 headliner come to fruition, as Jones has stated that his showdown with Miocic is likely to be the last bout of his MMA career. During a recent interview, Aspinall outlined the game plan he would adopt if he were in Miocic's position facing off against Jones. I'd be looking for the knockout against Jon Jones is what I'd be looking for with him. I'd be trying to push him back and use his size. It's not even like he can use the experience. They're both as experienced as one another, but I'd just be using my size on him, trying to push him back and knock him out. I think that Stipe has got big knockout power in comparison to Jon Jones, so I think he can knock him out.